Welcome, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. My name is Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. We are coming to you
Still
live.
dying.
Yeah, still dying. We are coming to you live here from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. Again, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, Darren, I hope it is just right. And with me, as always, is the impeccable, the emancipated,
Emancipated.
I don't know. That may have been the wrong word to say. The incredible Mr. Drew Gwillem. I don't know where that word came from. I'm sorry.
Keep digging, Watson.
Yeah. That's very good.
Yeah.
That was very good. How are you, Drew? How are you doing, man?
The usual. Tired and hungry.
Tired and hungry, yes.
That seems to be the way we start our shows.
Absolutely.
Tired, hungry, and ready for sports.
Yes, it's the classic X-Bomb way. I think.
Yeah.
Tired, hungry, but ready for sports.
We like food.
We do.
We like sports.
We absolutely do.
We like all of you.
Absolutely. We love you guys so much. And as always, thank you all so much for all the wonderful things you guys do for us. We really do appreciate it. Drew, we got a lot to talk about. It is football today. Football, NFL all the way through.
We're playing games today, too.
We're playing games today,
Yeah.
too. But before the games, are you ready to put down some work?
Let's do it.
Let's do it then, my friends. So, to kick this one off, we are starting off with the Bears, which came so close, so close by an extra point to taking this game potentially into overtime. But sadly, it did not happen. The Bears did lose this game, unfortunately, 31-30 against the Lions. But an incredible game, once again, nevertheless, from the immaculate Mr. Justin Fields, putting up 4 touchdowns in this game, having over 100 yards rushing.
Is he emancipated, too?
Yes. I definitely used that word wrong. I know I did. I 100%. Like, I'm going through my brain now, like, yeah, that doesn't mean what you thought it meant. So I apologize. I think I meant to say immortal, but emancipated came out, so I apologize.
Justin Fields might be immortal.
He might be immortal. He looked incredibly good in this game. He played with a lot of passion and power, some really nice passes, and we got more from Cole Kmet as well, coming in with the 2 touchdowns there. An incredible effort from the Bears in this one.
Another 60-plus yard touchdown run from Fields.
That was 67 and on the dot, and a great run at that too. But Drew, watching this game against the Lions overall, even though it's a loss, what are your thoughts on the game? What did you like? What other things do you think obviously need to be worked on, with the offense and things like that? What are your thoughts?
I'm disappointed they didn't beat the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm not going to let it ruin my day, or I'm not broken up about it.
Right.
We know what this year is.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluation, get rid of all that lost money, starting fresh next year, basically.
Yeah.
And seeing what they have with the guys that they do have.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find out if you have a quarterback. I think they have that answer. They have a quarterback. I think that's pretty clear. Defense is really bad.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is really bad.
Yes.
You let the Lions, while they had been good early on, putting up a large amount of points each game, 30-plus, I believe they were somewhere around that range to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
They had been down over their last stretch of games since
they had not looked good at all.
Exactly, and this defense just let them jump right back into it. Yes, it was a mistake by Fields throwing the pick 6. That didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things in this game that the typical things you've been seeing, more of the same things that Justin Fields, the pick in general, like
Yes.
the pass rush got to him too fast, didn't have the time to throw, which, that's what we've been seeing all year long.
Absolutely.
They've been doing things schematically on the offensive side to help avoid those situations, and Fields running all the time isn't due to the fact that they're just calling rushing plays for him all the time. A lot of those are scrambles. That 67-yard touchdown run, that was a scramble on a pass play.
Yeah, that was not a design.
That was not a design run.
Him.
So
he had to do that.
Right. A lot of these are coming from that.
Right.
Again, going forward next season, being able to get more talent in here, more time to protect him, you're going to see more of an offense where he's throwing more.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be adding more talent around him, more time in the pocket. You're going to see more of that.
Right.
But for now, this is what we got. And even though they're losing, it's still fun to watch. It's still exciting football. You're still seeing good things from the offense and them being able to do things not only as limited players, talent-wise, but as a coaching staff being able to play call for what they have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you pretty much hit it like right on the dot on this one. I mean, it's very clear that, I mean, you have your star. You have, I mean, he is becoming the hot commodity right now for everybody to talk about in the league. Like, and let's be honest, I don't think the Bears have had this kind of attention on the quarterback.
National news
Probably since the Jay Cutler trade, I want to say. Like, that was probably the last time that it was covered like this much about a Bears quarterback. Because even Mitch didn't get this much attention. I mean, most of that attention that year in 2018, it was all on the defense. It was a lot on Nagy. And
it was negative attention that Mitch got because of where he was drafted. Well, it not being his fault, he can't choose where he's drafted.
Right.
But that's where all the attention was. Like, really, why did they do this to get this guy?
Absolutely. And, I mean, look, and now maybe Pace had a good idea to trade up with the Giants to go and get Fields, you know. Who knows? I don't know if he would have been there at 20, but obviously it looks like the smart move now. But then again, who knows if Pace, even if he was still here, would have been able to do what Ryan Poles has been able to kind of bring in with him. You brought in a guy like Getsy, who I think has been the clear advantage to helping, you know, Justin Fields really progress to being the kind of player he is now. Like, make plays, do what you have to do to make a play for us, absolutely. But let's stay within the confines of still trying to figure out what this offense can be. I think that's smart.
It was the least they could do was leave us with a nice parting gift with all the other garbage that they left over for this organization to deal with.
That is very true. That is absolutely very true. I mean, and this team, I mean, we'll just kind of jump right into it. Obviously, with this offense, they are right now the number one rushing offense in the NFL. Fields right now, I believe, is in the top 10, maybe even top 5 right now of rushers in the NFL. He's right now the top running quarterback in the league right now. Say that knowing that obviously this is a quarterback that can throw. Again, the receivers are not getting open as much as you want them to. I would have liked to seen them throw maybe a little bit more in this game. I understand, though, it's not easy when guys aren't open. That's when Fields says, okay, no one's open, take off, run, let's get something out of this. Totally understand that idea of an offense. It just feels like against the Lions, I felt like you could have maybe tested it a little bit more. But that being said, even still, the offense put together a solid game plan, figured it out, kept themselves in the fight. And I think that's still a strong move to show there's leadership there, there's good moves there. And like you said, the interception, the pick six, what can you do? Like we saw at the end of the game, I thought Fields was going to make a play. I was going to be like, okay, if he does this, like, game over. This guy's clearly, I mean, we're shooting him towards the top then as one of those guys then all of a sudden for the year.
Right.
So obviously that didn't happen because there was like 5 Detroit Lions bringing him down.
Not to mention this game was so bad with penalties on the Bears side.
Yeah.
This was one of the worst games I've seen undisciplined wise from this team. They've been really good at that this year.
Absolutely.
And this game, I'm not saying that was the factor of why they lost, but it's a very big contributing factor on why teams lose games is too many penalties.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where, like, I know people were saying, like, there was maybe 1 or 2 calls that would have been like, that was not a maybe great call or anything like that.
There were a lot of bad calls, not only in this game, but it seemed like in a lot of other games too.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I believe they said that the acceptance percentage or whatever you want to say for refs, from what I've understood, is somewhere around like 60%, where it was around 75-80% for the last few years now. So it's significantly dropped this year. And it seems like now we've gone away from the roughing the passer calls all of a sudden from the beginning of the year to a lot of pass interference calls. So I don't know, I can't really explain it, but I think there's a lot of refs maybe kind of, I'm not saying cheating or anything, but I'm saying they're choosing certain times to kind of throw flags, and it's really is affecting the games in major ways. But this team, obviously, again, I mean, rushing-wise, obviously, they've looked really good, but now Khalil Herbert going to the IR. Montgomery's going to be there. They're at the very bottom in passing. Now, Drew, we'll get to the game, but, I mean, kind of, they're 3-7 right now. It's very obvious. They said they're in a rebuild, right? Ryan Poles said that. Would you want to see the Bears maybe throw more passing into it here towards the bottom? Not necessarily being like, just like forget it, screw it, like let's just keep dropping it. But would you want to see more passing happening, or do you think it's stay comfortable with where you're at right now? Where do you kind of fit with that kind of situation for the offense?
I feel like once a guy like Claypool gets more acclimated to whether it's the offense, the playbook, whatever it is, why he was used less in his second game than in his first game, I'm unsure about. But and it sounded like Eberflus and Getsy had a conversation about that.
Yeah.
From listening to their interviews.
Yeah.
So hopefully that changes this game. Hopefully he can be out there for a majority of the offensive snaps, because he's your number one guy right now, or
Absolutely.
he's supposed to be.
At least a solid number 2 to put next to Mooney, I would say.
Mooney, as far as status with the team, I would say he's their go-to guy.
Yeah.
But Claypool is bigger, stronger, maybe even faster.
At least I would say right there. They're
close.
Right.
But his size and stature gives him something that Mooney doesn't have.
Absolutely.
And that would help the passing game a lot. So would I like to see more passing? Yes, if they can do it successfully. If he's just going to drop back and get his ass kicked and throw picks because of it, then no. I want to see what's working.
Right.
Do what the defense is giving you and what's been working, why you're putting up 30 plus points a game.
Yeah.
Recently, since things have changed around and you've kind of gelled more as an offense. Play calls adjusted. I want to see what works, because like we've said before, Fields didn't do all this running in college.
No.
This is like almost unlocking talents that he already had, but him doing what he's doing right now has been historic.
Yeah.
So for him to be able to do these things, it's somewhat unlocking more potential that you may not have necessarily saw from him at Ohio State. It's a happy
little accident, to quote Bob Ross, in a weird kind of way, that they're like, well, we know he has this speed, but now more than ever, it's like, we didn't realize like he was this fast. Like we didn't realize he was this quick.
This fast, this elusive back there. Like, who else besides Lamar Jackson in the league at that position is more elusive than Fields?
Maybe Kyler Murray. Maybe. And that was more so last year.
Yes,
anyways.
and not to mention his size. Too.
Right, and that's the thing. You're talking about a guy bigger than Lamar, taller and bigger in size. You're talking about a guy very much bigger than Kyler Murray in every way, and I think would be more accurate than Kyler Murray potentially at this point. I can't confirm or deny on that, but either way, like I feel like he's more of a complete package than either one of those quarterbacks were when they first kind of came into the league their second year. Obviously, Lamar won the MVP, but again, let's be very honest with how he played the quarterback position for them. A lot of short passes, a lot of passing to Mark Andrews. You're seeing Fields test the downfield ability to throw the football, which is something I like to see a lot. Show off the arm. Let's see what he can do.
That's
he had
game.
Cole Kmet on a busted play, which was great. You found busted coverage. He's wide open. So glad I would thought Kmet was. I'm like, please, dude, don't drop this, because I'd like to see you make a play like this. And he did, and he looked like that kind of tight end that you want to see.
And I heard them talking about on that exact play on the radio too today. And they're talking about, okay, was it more busted coverage or was it more a brilliant play call that was able to get him that wide open? So between the two, don't really care. I mean, I would prefer it to be just a brilliant play call,
right?
Which the offense has looked really good with what they're calling, so I could lead to see some of both.
Absolutely. Well, and Getsy's proving that. I'm really starting to believe he's the smartest man in that Green Bay Packers room that just was not getting any attention. Because if you look at his plays, yes, there's receivers. Obviously, it's hard for those guys to get open because they're not the elite of the elite. And the Bears probably won't have the elite of the elite. Let's just be very honest. But they can have guys that can certainly be good enough where on those plays, if you watch them close enough, a guy that would maybe be on the level of, let's say, George Pickens or anything like that, probably is getting open by at least another good 2-3 yards. Probably can make that catch a little bit farther out, allows Fields to kind of stretch the field more, probably opens up the playbook a lot more
And Pickens,
for the Bears.
yeah, Pickens and Claypool are those guys that don't necessarily have to be open, can make those contested catches that you have to have.
Yes, that can get in front of a corner and say, okay, I maybe can't beat this guy straight up, but I can definitely out-jump him. Claypool can certainly out-muscle anybody. Yeah. He's 240 for crying out loud.
You make a move on a guy, and you just get enough separation to make a play.
Yeah, seriously. I put him at tight end a couple times if you want to. He knows how to play the position. If you really want to get him open, I'm sure a linebacker would love to match up.
The way
on
Kmet's been playing, I think we'll leave him there.
No, I'm not saying instead
and keep
of. I'm
Claypool
saying
on the outside.
I'm saying you want to put him in at 2 tight end, go for it.
He's a mismatch for corners. He's a mismatch for a linebacker. Got to use it.
Absolutely. Well, on the flip side of things, obviously, it has not been very good for the Bears defense, as we know. But they have had a shining star in this game.
Hall of Famer.
He certainly played like one. Jack Sanborn. We knew this kid was good in the
Roquan who?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Who needs Roquan when you have Jack Sanborn?
Yeah. Nothing against Roquan.
Retired Jack Sanborn's jersey, number 57. Olin Kreutz and Jack Sanborn.
Hey, man.
Right now.
I would not. I think he's doing 57 a good justice, I have to say. 12 total tackles, 9 on his own, 2 sacks, tackles for loss.
Also, big interception.
Almost had that interception that could
bad penalty.
Yeah, and that could have been a tide changer. And that even still, that goes to show how big of an impact this kid has been. Again, we saw him in preseason. Yep. We knew what he could do. Very glad that they held on to him at this point. I'm forgetting his name. He wore number 44. He played linebacker for them. Kwiatkowski, I think it was his name. Kwiatkowski. Very much kind of reminds me of him, but more athleticism. Way more athletic. Way better on the coverage, all stuff. I mean, I ask you, Drew, obviously this defense needs a lot. Right. And we've noted like Jalen Johnson and Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker and those guys as kind of being like cornerstone players to build. Do you think that Jack Sanborn is a guy that the Bears can look to if he continues to play like this, maybe going forward as a potential cornerstone for the team?
If he continues to play like this, then absolutely. You can't look away from it. It reminds me of the Lions on defense with Malcolm Rodriguez, who was 6th round linebacker for them, comes out and busts his ass.
Baby.
Yeah, comes out and busts his ass and earns a starting job.
Absolutely.
He's got the same kind of story. You know, he was undrafted, I believe.
Yes, undrafted.
Undrafted, comes in here and you come up with a stat line like this that could have been even better.
Yeah.
You want to see, you've seen him in the preseason do it. You've seen him now in a few games do it.
Yes.
Continue to do that, and you'll stick around with this team.
Absolutely.
Whether you're a rotational player or a starter, you'll be here or on another team.
Yeah, he is. I honestly am very impressed with him. For those who don't know, he's actually a local kid from around here. I believe he's up from the Deerfield area. Went to Wisconsin, undrafted player, and could honestly be one of the gems that Ryan Poles pulls out of this draft class that was an undrafted free agent, which is nice to see, you know. And by the way, for those who may not know this, but I'm sure you can note to this too, Drew, undrafted free agents can sometimes be the final pieces you need to put your team over the hump. Finding those gems that nobody else gave a chance to can be those guys that can actually clear you to being a contender and even a champion.
Guys that may have just some serious raw talent, but not the time or the work put in yet, and just need that extra work and that push to unlock all the potential that they have.
Absolutely. Just as Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Maybe the greatest free agent of all time.
Bagging groceries to winning Super Bowls.
Who would have thunk, man? And if it worked for him, why not work for Jack Sanborn, right? He has, I think right now you can say, they released A.J. Klein, unfortunately. I thought they should have kept him. But, you know, I get it. If you feel like he's the guy, which I would say right now, he's proven himself to be the man, let him go forth and let's see what he can do. Build from around him, around the corners you have and the defensive backs, and go from there. I I think Eberflus seems like a pretty happy camper with him too.
Yeah.
I saw him after that was I think his second sack or whatever Sanborn got. Eberflus was pretty excited about that. So it might have been a loss, but I think Eberflus is feeling like it's coming together. It's getting there.
I feel like that's the tone with everybody.
Yeah.
We're close. Like, not close. There's still a long ways off. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we've got some things working here, and we've got some pieces. We have a ton of money, ton of picks, finally.
Absolutely.
We're going to make something happen.
For sure. And look, folks, like Drew said, there's a long way to go. There's excitement about this team, and there absolutely should be. And I still know Dominique Robinson, he still has to work on his technique on closing in on the ball carrier. I think he can still be something. There's a lot of people that want to write him off because he makes some mental mistakes at times. You hone that in, you craft that as fast as he is, as long as he is, 6'4", 250, and runs like a 4.5 40 or something like that.
Fourth or fifth round pick.
Yeah, 5th round draft pick that came out of Western Kentucky, I think it was.
Who flashed early on.
Yeah,
when you had Robert Quinn on the other side.
Right, yeah. You get that.
And Roquan.
Yeah, and when you get that other guy out there that can help him at a one-on-one edge rush.
He can be a rotational pass rusher as well.
He could be a full-time starter, I think, at some point. He could really be that guy. There's work that needs to be done, of course.
You're right.
But this team seems to want to work. They want to seem to get better.
With a rebuild, there's always going to be work that needs to be done.
And
things
right now,
that can get better.
Where the Bears are sitting at, they're going to have a top pick.
Yeah.
And as we've noted, you can either draft somebody there or you can trade down.
They don't need to get the quarterback. And
no.
Teams will give up an arm and a leg to try and get that quarterback. So they could be in very good position to clean up with first-round picks.
Absolutely.
For a team trying to move up.
They could load the wagon with draft picks. Ask the Eagles and ask the Miami Dolphins how that's working.
How good are the Eagles this year? Guess what? They're going to have a top 10 pick.
Yeah. They have 2 first-round picks, and one of them is now in the top 10.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And ask Miami, who has no first-round picks now, but they're sitting at top of the division. I think they're pretty happy with where they're at.
High-scoring team in the NFL. That helps.
Tua's looking
yep,
pretty
and
good.
Andrew still hates Tua.
I don't hate him. I'm just...
Hey, you know what? The Bears are playing the Falcons.
Yes, let's move on. Let's move on before I get on a rant. So Bears are playing the Falcons right now. Yeah, they're playing them this coming Sunday. So at this point, though, I believe it is Chicago that has actually the 3 points at this point. Let me double check just to make sure that I didn't get this wrong. I have Atlanta. I may have it wrong, though, but if I am wrong, I apologize. But, all right, so, Drew, if that is the case, the Bears potentially have the favor. If not, let me double-check this real quick. I apologize, folks. It's been a very long day. I just got off the radio. I'm sorry. All right, it's Atlanta that has the favor by 3 points. Jeez. 49.5 is right now the over-under. Drew, where you going with this one, man?
I'm going to take the Bears.
Okay.
I think what we've seen from this team is improvements from week to week. While they're maybe making a lot of mistakes still because they're still very young and not very talented.
Yes.
I don't think they're undisciplined.
Okay.
So I don't think they're going to make some of those same mistakes they made this past week.
Yeah.
Penalty-wise, even Fields from the pick 6. He's learned from that already.
Yeah,
this dude's he's not a dum-dum, okay?
No,
he is a smart guy back there.
Absolutely.
Looking comfortable running an offense.
Yeah.
And being a leader. And I think those kinds of things are what helps you progress from week to week and not making those same mistakes. I don't think they make them this week against the Falcons. And maybe not being at home is a little pressure off.
Yeah.
Not that that's much of a thing anymore, I don't think, but
I would hope not.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Bears. I say the Bears are going to win by 3.
Okay.
But I'm also going to take the over on this because I still think it's shooting at least 10 over.
Okay. All right. I'm in the same boat with you. I'm going to take the Bears. The offense is clearly coming together. They've been putting up points now like crazy. So there's a lot going on here. And plus, they don't have the Falcons don't have their top cornerback, A.J. Terrell. He's out now. So with that being the case, I would expect probably not a lot more, but a chance to kind of open up the game a little bit, kind of pass a little bit more. There's a good shot for them, I think, to score early and get the lead early. I think this is going to come down to an offensive shootout. I do think it may hit the under still, just because Atlanta's defense has had its moments where they can put pressure on a quarterback. They're not down to slim pick. They've got bare bones, but they got some guys that can maybe make
Grady
some
Jarrett's a stud.
Yeah, he's a Pro Bowl perennial
Got
All-Pro.
paid for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would expect whoever's playing center to be a lot of double teams are going to happen. Let's just say that, okay? And I will take the Bears, though. I'll take them on 6, and yeah, I think I'll take the under on this just because I think Atlanta, there's enough here for the Bears defense to at least cap off Mariota going over the top. I think Drake London will be back for this game, so I think there's enough here that they can hold them off.
I think the Falcons might be second run heaviest team compared to the Bears, and it could go that way where they just run the ball. But at the same time, the Bears still run it a bunch and have been putting up 30 and allowing 30 as it is. Yeah. So I feel like there's big plays to be had on both sides here. Oh yeah, and I think we're gonna see it. Could be fun.
I think it'll be a fun one, and this could be the interesting enough. This could be like a game of the week kind of thing, possibly, depending on. I mean, Cordell Patterson's gonna want to come in and put some juice on this one, but Monty wants to too because he still wants to prove, hey, I'm a good running back in the league. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. But folks, that's gonna do it for the Bears segment. How do you feel the Bears have done? What'd you think about the Lions game? How do you think they're going to do against the Falcons? Let us know. We want to hear from you guys. When we do come back, Drew, we're playing a game.
Game time.
Game time, folks. And that game is coming up next here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. All right, and welcome back, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show.
What happened?
Yeah, what happened, indeed. Well, we just got done talking about the Bears. I'm still Andrew Valentin. I'm still here with my man, Drew Gwillem. Just real quick news for everybody out there, if you're curious or not. We're not going to talk about it, but it is out there. It says, this is according to Wojciechowski, Kyrie Irving nearing completion of the process needed to return to play. So he could rejoin the Nets as soon as Sunday. So just wanted to report the news for you there.
Don't care.
Thank you so much, Drew. I was hoping for one of those.
Okay.
Well, we got NFL, Drew, and it is time for the game. Are you ready to play the game?
Game on.
Let's do it. Folks, welcome back to Hot Seat. That's right. The game where we make the decision on exactly what teams need to maybe look at their coaches and just where exactly their potential seats could be for their jobs. Now, I picked the 10 coaches that I believe are on this seat. Drew, obviously, there could be others out there that maybe I haven't mentioned, and we can mention those at the bottom, but are you ready to hit this, my man?
Let's do it.
Let's do this, folks. So, for the hot seat, we're starting off with, lovable Cliff Kingsbury, who we've done once before on this program for the hot seat. He's currently at a 4-6 record. He's got a 28-30-1 record for his career. He does have the playoff loss, ugly playoff loss, mind you, against the Rams last year. Drew, Hot seat, 0 out of 5 Flames. How hot is that seat for Cliff Kingsbury?
I think it's in fuego.
In fuego, really?
It's hot.
Mucho caliente?
It's hot.
Whew. Wow.
What have they done to warrant him sticking around?
Mm-hmm.
Not much. Not much that I've seen.
Yeah.
They've had maybe one season higher than 500.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then they lose terribly in the playoffs, I believe. That was that year.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Okay.
I don't see it there. They're not understanding that they've had injuries and that not everything has gone their way. Well, guess what? Not everything's going to go your way in an NFL season. And
That's very true.
I don't know that they're necessarily totally in sync as a team.
Mm-hmm.
They don't fully seem like it. So they have a lot of issues there, and it starts at the top. It starts with your head coach.
Yeah.
And unless they have some miraculous turnaround this year, I think he is very hot.
Yeah.
Very hot seat
Okay.
right now.
I am in agreement. I think he's at a 5. I think it's en fuego, as you said. That seat is on fire. I think it's burning Cliff Kingsbury. And like you said, it starts at the top. I think this even goes to the point of being Steve Keim, who's the GM. Like, first off, Steve Keim's been around for well over 10 years at this point, has not been fired since. I know he's been able to find success within the team before with the Bruce Arians stuff and everything. But this is now that we're getting to like almost an full-on implosion point with this team. I know they're 4-6, but they lose Chandler Jones because he didn't want to be with the team anymore because he was having his own issues with the team. Then you've got DeAndre Hopkins, who's suspended. Now he comes back, and now he and Kyler Murray are fighting apparently on the sidelines. Apparently, Kyler Murray is, like we said last week, he's kind of entering this like diva QB, Karen Rodgers-esque territory of I'm better than everybody else. And it just doesn't feel like Cliff Kingsbury has any control. And they brought you in because they thought you were friends with and you knew Kyler Murray. They believe that you guys are going to work together, and it's just not working. They're just completely out of sync. So I gotta agree. I think it's a 5. I think he's getting fired. Maybe even before the season ends, that last game of the season, if it comes down to it, they may fire him right then and there. So sorry, Cliff. I guess you're possibly the next guy out. Hope they can get somebody that can rally Kyler Murray. All right, the next guy we got coming up, Nathaniel Hackett. He's a first-year head coach for the Denver Broncos, so he doesn't have much of a career to go based off of, but he is right now 3-6. Denver, not good. Not good at all, so
No.
Drew, 0 to 5. How hot is that seat?
I'm gonna say a 3.
Really?
I think it's a 3. I think just because of the fact that he's only a first-year head coach.
Okay.
They've had some injuries, but at the same time, while he's still, it could very well go the other way of like really poor time management, looks lost as a head coach for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Again, maybe this is just to get the season under his belt and he'll be better next year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have that discussion and they're comfortable with it. But for what I've seen, I think it really could go either way after the season's done. I think you let him play it out. I don't think it's not one of those Urban Meyer situations where you like hear poor things about the guy and the way he's conducting practice and himself.
Yeah.
You don't hear any of that. You just, it's everything else though. It's like the coaching wise, decision making, like maybe I don't know if he's calling plays or if he's, what he's doing.
That has not really been discussed by anybody. I know they hired somebody, or he hired somebody onto his staff to help him on decision playmaking kind of stuff, which I didn't think that really boded too well, but I get it. I understand.
For a team you expected to be so much more than they are, and this is, again, it's like I know I said before, this is like the George Costanza's opposite day NFL this year. Yeah. So there's a lot of things not going the way that you thought they would.
Right.
So I don't think I don't think you can just jump to a decision on Hackett quite yet.
Yeah.
But I think the possibility is there.
Okay. I agree with you. I'm gonna bump it up to at least a 4 for Hackett, and I think that just because Denver, I think, was looking at him saying, "Oh, the genius behind the Packers," but well, I don't think he was actually. I've said who I think the genius was last segment, so I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett is maybe on that level. I think there's a lot of you're coasting a lot on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to make plays, right? And Aaron Jones to make plays. Now you get Russell Wilson with some younger receivers. You have to actually be the man in charge developing the team. That's a lot to ask. And does this guy have the ability to rally these guys, right? Because we're seeing Russell Wilson, he kind of feels like he's going in this new direction of I'm going to be my own man and be separate from everybody else. Like he's got his own locker room apparently to change in and things like that. So I agree. I don't think he's getting fired just yet. I know I was saying I think he would, but I think it's more of a chance they will hold on to him. But by, I would say, like halfway through next season, if they don't see some sort of winning record or real improvement out of this team, I do think he's gone. I think there's just too much here offensively for them to have worked with outside of the offensive line not being very good, that they should be putting up better numbers. They should be scoring more, I think they believe. And that they being the head front office, right? So I think there's a lot of pressure for them to say, look, we're not going to fire you yet, but if you don't get this thing in order soon, we're going to let you go. You know, and I agree with you. I don't think this is anything where he's like testing the limits of the front office or anything, unless something comes out that we haven't heard. Who knows? But he seems like a pretty well-mannered guy, but I think the pressure's on, that the chair's at least on fire for him for sure. All right, next we've got Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, as we all know, head coach of the Lions, very spirited. If you've watched his Hard Knocks, we know that he's a very beloved figure amongst NFL fans and certainly Lions fans and the players as well. But he's 3-6. His record is 11-26. So Drew, obviously a lot of people like him. Lions like him, but 0-5 on Flames. How hot do you think that seat could be?
I think it's 3, but it's pushing to 4.
Okay.
And I say that because obviously they're a poor team.
Yes.
They're not playing well. They're a losing team again this year.
Yes.
At the same time, they just did a lot in the draft.
Right.
Okay. Whereas years past, you see like, okay, they're getting some guys, but I feel like this year they did some things in the draft.
Yeah.
They went out and got people and guys that are going to make a big impact going forward.
Absolutely.
And that have already made an impact.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think Dan Campbell's rah-rah way of doing things is necessarily the NFL way.
Okay.
And that all the players will buy into that. And I'm not trying to take things from what I see on Hard Knocks because they know the cameras are around.
Right, yeah.
If you think everything's going according to how things normally go, I think you're wrong.
It's entertainment business for a reason.
Right. So I think there's a possibility they could give Campbell another chance going towards the end of the season. Hey, they just got to win.
Yeah.
Hey, go get a couple more. And then that might drop and stick to around a 3 to where it's like, hey, same deal as Hackett. We understand we've had a lot of injuries. We've had things not go our way necessarily. But going forward, with these guys coming back, another draft under our belt, we better see more out of it this next season or things are going to be changed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult because I do think that Dan Campbell has actually done like a pretty decent job building this team with where they're at right now, right? Like, I do think that he's shown enough that they could find a reason to keep him on the team. But at the same time, it's hard for me to say if they're going to keep him because next year is going to be his 3rd year. So I don't think he's getting fired this year. I don't believe that at all. I think they'll keep him around. I do agree. I think it is a 3. because obviously, yes, there have been injuries. Guys have not been able to play. I think you're still getting some really good stuff out of Jared Goff. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's progress has been really good. You know, the Hockenson thing I'm sure is going to be viewed by a lot of people as bad, but okay, he wasn't making the progressions you needed him to. You've had him for a good while now. It's just not getting to where you needed it to. You got a draft pick back. You know, it's all right. It's fine. You got picks back. Let's build this thing back up. Find another guy, right?
That's more of a GM move than like what a coach is gonna. I mean, I'm sure they had talked about it. They probably had a conversation about it, but.
And either way, right? The guy that came in and scored a touchdown against the Bears, so I mean, shows something. So I would say it's a 3. I like Dan Campbell. Think he's a good guy. I think he's got that personality that can go. I agree that rah-rah thing. We know it from Pete Carroll, right? Some guys are like, yeah, I can dig it. Like other guys are like this isn't college anymore, buddy. Like this is the pros. So I would say it's at a 3. So I think by next year we'll find out where it's at, because I think the Lions are like, listen, at that point, kind of do or die. Like let's especially where Green Bay is at right now, and Minnesota kicking it up a notch, and the Bears being where they're at, they want a challenge. They want to get a chance to be like have a dog in the fight. So all right, next we've got Matt LaFleur. I know what you're thinking. Why is he in here? But even with a winning record for his career, he's right now 4-6 for the Packers. Obviously, they have looked pretty horrendous, except this game against the Cowboys. Thank you so much for making me wrong on this one. Appreciate it. Drew, 0 out of 5. What do you think about Matt LaFleur for the Green Bay Packers?
A 1.
A 1?
I don't think that his seat's very hot. Yeah, you lose you're one of the best wide receivers in the league, and what do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
Davante Adams made things easier on all the other wide receivers on that team, and he made things easier on the quarterback.
Yes.
So losing him is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Big loss. They're maybe finding some things now going forward with some of their young players. They just had a big, like you said, big win against the Cowboys. Maybe it propels them going forward, maybe not. But I don't think the issues they've had are due to Matt LaFleur, and I don't think he is anywhere close to the problem.
Okay. All right. I obviously was pretty vocal that I thought Matt LaFleur was the issue. I'm not going to back on that. I'll give him a 2. Just because the problem with the Green Bay Packers is there is no owner, right? And what's his name? Gunter Gunst or whatever his name is, the GM for the Packers.
All you idiot Green Bay fans are the owners with your fake stock.
Hey, city owns.
I have a piece of paper too. I'm an owner.
You only own like 1/100,000th or whatever it is of the team or whatever.
Hey, but you know what? It's fun for them.
Sure, yeah.
Give them something to do.
It's like giving them Willy Wonka's golden ticket, except it's, Willy Wonka's not real. Maybe. I don't know. I'm only giving him a 2 because I am now. Aaron's such a dick. I'm gonna just be honest. He's such a dick.
Yeah.
Blaming his receivers, and then he's like, no receivers had any problems, and then they went, oh, guess what, a-hole? We kind of do have a problem with you calling us out in the media, a.k.a. the Pat McAfee Show, your friend. So, no, we're not going to say this is okay. So, I maybe Aaron was like, see, look, I am passing to the rookies. Look at Christian Watson. Yeah, well, now he might be hurt, so now what are you going to do? And you just released Amari Rodgers. Well, you didn't, but the Packers did. I don't think it's Matt LaFleur. I think that a lot of this is just Rodgers' arrogance. I don't think he's into the game. I think he's kind of out of it at this point. He seems to not care. He gives that vacant dad on the sideline look at every time I see him on the cameras. It's more so him, I think, than LaFleur. I agree with you. But I do think that LaFleur, in some ways, will get the blame for this because there have been times where it seems like he's calling the play and it just doesn't seem to go the right way. Whether that's him and Rodgers fighting, I don't know. But I think he's got a winning record. He's made the playoffs. Will he do it without Rodgers? That remains to be seen, but I think the Packers are willing to wait and see what happens. He's still a decent coach for what he is. All right, next guy we got coming up is, Josh McDaniels. Oh, how we have been wronged by you, Mr. McDaniels. So right now he's 2-7 with the Raiders, as I predicted. I was,
Nobody
no,
did.
Nobody did. 13-24. For those who don't know, he was 11-17 with the Broncos. That's where a lot of those career games come from. I like to call those the beginning of the Tebow time. Drew, 2-7 in his first job since his Broncos days. 0 out of 5 flames on how hot that seat might be for Josh McDaniels.
I'm gonna go with 2. While it's looked really bad, I still don't think. I don't think that it's necessarily due to head coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they seem to have some issues there
Yeah.
and other places. Derek Carr's going out there basically calling out players for maybe not having their heart fully in it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's some of the problem too.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen some good things. You've still seen some good things.
Absolutely.
And while it is a very poor season for some of the talent that they have, I think they will be better going forward, and I don't think he's going anywhere.
Okay. I'm going to give McDaniels a 3, and I'm going to say it could be bumped up to a 4, and that's only because I think Mark Davis probably saw this being like, I think a lot of us did, the move that would say, oh, well, they were in the playoffs last year, and now they only got better, so now this team should be getting even better. They should challenge for the division, right? That was my whole theory. And it's very clear that, number one, I should have reminded myself, like, half the teams that make the playoffs don't even make the playoffs the next year. Like, that's a thing that does happen. The Raiders are in a new offense with a new head coach. Derek Carr, I think, is approaching the kind of, not end of his career, but kind of the point where we're going, all right, how long are the Raiders going to really kind of hold on to him? Because I got a good feeling they might let him walk at this point. Devontae was pretty critical, saying he's like, it's not the head coaches, I don't think. There's some guys that are just not into the game. And when you don't have Darren Waller and you don't have Hunter Renfrow for what's been a good chunk of the season, what do you think's going to happen? They're going to double team Devontae Adams, and, there's not a lot of passing targets to really go to. So I would say it's a 3 going to a 4, and that's just because I think Mark Davis is a very impatient owner, right? He sees 10-7 last year. They just barely made they just barely made that thing off of Daniel Carlson hitting the field goal to win the game, and then they lost to the Bengals. So I think his job is not yet on the line, but by the end of next year, he could be potentially fired if they don't right the ship a little bit more, right? If they don't look like they're going to be more competitive, then I think by the end of next year, you'll probably see him be fired. All right, next we've got Brandon Staley of the Chargers. Now, he's actually got a winning record at 5-4. He's got a 14-12 record for his career, but obviously there's been some criticism across the board at times from him. So, Drew, 0 out of 5 flames. How hot's that seat for Brandon Staley of the Chargers?
I think it's barely a 3.
Okay.
Due to the fact that they can still have all these injuries and they still have a winning record. Yes, he's made some mistakes. Yes, they've been at very poor times.
Mm-hmm.
But who hasn't?
Yeah.
And overall, if you're winning and your team is playing for you like the Chargers do,
yeah,
and they still do nice things, even with losing some players on defense and some limitations there because of both sides of the ball, actually offense and defense.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a pretty good job for what they have available to them. And until those mistakes continue consistently and say, okay, they make the playoffs again this year and he makes some more mistakes that cost him a game.
Yeah.
Then you could look at it and maybe push it forward. But for right now, I think he's good.
Okay. I'm going to say a 3 as well, but I'm going to also say a 3 pushing potentially to a 4. And I think a lot of that, to me, I think a lot of that has to do with, and I've seen the GM for the the Chargers talk before. He seems to be very confident in Brandon Staley. My only thing with Brandon Staley is they know who their guy is, right? And Justin Herbert. He's the guy who's probably going to make or break where they land at, in the same way that Phillip Rivers kind of did for them as when they were in San Diego as the Chargers there. So I think that there's a good chance that they could be looking at an offensive coach potentially to maybe bring in at some point to help get, Herbert maybe to that next level, because we've seen what he can do when you kind of just let him, be the guy. But obviously no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams, now Gerald Everett's out with an injury potentially. Like, there's been a lot of injuries on offense. Now J.C. Jackson's gone. Joey Bosa was out for a good portion of the season. So yeah, the injuries have really mounted. But at the same time, they're still very, competitive. They're still in this fight. But this is going to be, I think, a telling game. You're playing the Chiefs. Can you hang with them? Can you fight with them? It's going to be tough. It's not an easy game because the Chiefs are a very good team. But if there's a good shot that they're going to be able to find a way to stop the Chiefs at some point and be able to score their own points to kind of stick with them by like maybe 10 points or something like that, I think there's a good chance that we could see Staley's flame start to kind of die down a little bit. But I would say it's pushing like on a 3 to maybe a 4, because if they come out of this season with a losing year, then that's going to really, I think, push the boundary a little bit more. All right, next we've got Dennis Allen of the Saints. His first year in, he's taking over for Sean Payton. And as of right now, after his time in Oakland and New Orleans now, he has a combined 11-35 record for his career. Drew, Dennis Allen of the Saints, 0 out of 5 Flames. How hot's that seat?
I'm going to say a 1. I just don't think it's something. They kept him in the organization, promoted him from within.
Okay.
They have obviously have their limitations at quarterback.
Yeah.
Again, not the head coach's fault.
Right.
You've still been able to show some nice things with your team with those limitations. Now, with their poor record, they may have a pick. Obviously, the Eagles are going to have their first round pick.
Yes.
But you're still able to do some things elsewhere. Still able to make moves elsewhere. Yes. Maybe getting some more guys healthy through the rest of the season will help things as well. So I think with their limitations, he's doing a fine job.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's doing anything to hinder their team. So I wouldn't get rid of a guy that's not the cause of the problems.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give it a 2. I almost would have thought like a 3 or a 4. The Saints have been bad. They've had injuries. There's not much you can do on that. The defense has been really good for them, though, and that's where his specialty is. So I think that's where I would drop it from a 4 or a 3 down to a 2, because at least the defense has been good. I think their problem is that, number one, well, their 2 biggest problems are they need to find the quarterback for them. Like now, so if they can get themselves into the draft somewhere to get a quarterback, now would be the time to do it. The other thing I think too is, as much as I think Carmichael's a smart offensive coordinator, I think he's been a part of this team for so long now. I think you can move on from him and find somebody else. Interject some new young blood into this team for an offensive coordinator, something that would kind of get this offense going in a new direction, right? Because you have Chris Olave, who looks like he's going to be a stellar player for them for a long time. If they can get Kamara back into the game somehow, you know what he can do. I don't know what else to say anymore about Michael Thomas.
He'll probably be somewhere else next year.
He's the Anthony Davis of the NFL at this point. He can never stay healthy. I don't know what else to say for him. So I will at least give Dennis Allen a 2. I think the Saints can certainly bump it up by the end of next year for sure, but I think he's certainly saving his job for what, like you said, Drew, for what he's doing with what he has. I think he's done a decent job for what it is. It just sucks that you're giving the Eagles such a high pick now. So, all right, next we've got Todd Bowles of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. First time in after Bruce Arians decided to take a front office position with the team. They're currently 5-5. In his career, he's obviously been a coach of the Jets, which we know how that kind of went, and 31-46 is his career record. Drew, what do you think? Do you think Todd Bowles, 0 out of 5, how hot's that seat for him?
Kind of somewhere along the same lines as Dennis Allen, same type of thing.
Okay.
Promoted from within the organization. You picked him over others that could have came in.
Yeah.
I think this just shows how good of a coach Bruce Arians is or was since he's done with that part of his time, it seems like.
Yeah.
I don't think Todd Bowles is a bad coach at all. I think he's a good coach. I just maybe not quite fully head coach.
Okay.
But I don't think that gets him fired because overall he still seems to be a pretty damn good leader.
Yeah.
And an overall pretty damn good coach.
Okay.
So maybe some of the issues that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had, again, injuries, which have plagued everybody, but things, they look different.
Yeah.
There. But I don't think that's due to Todd Bowles' decision making.
Okay.
So, because they still have the same play caller.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's injuries and limiting things that they're capable of doing. Brady likes to sit back in the pocket, read through his progressions, find his open guy, boom.
Yeah.
With losing linemen to other teams in free agency and then injuries, I think that's been a big factor on passing game, running game. So, and then injuries on the defense. They don't have the same defense that they had last year. So I think that's a lot of it, but I don't think that's, again, Bulls' fault.
No,
so
yeah.
I'll put him at like a 2.
Okay.
But if the rest of the season goes downhill, it can be pushing up higher.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm actually going lower than that. I'm going to take a 1 on it because I actually think he's done a very good job considering – because you got to remember, this guy was the defensive coordinator. They made him the head coach pretty immediately, and he had to step into a role that he hasn't done in a while. And I think he's done a terrific job. I think the Tampa Bay defense is still one of the best defenses out there, if I'm not mistaken. The offense that's out there, obviously, they're starting to get guys back, which is nice. You're getting some guys from injury to start to come back, which is good. I do like the fact that they've made the shift now from Leonard Fournette to Rashad White, he seems to be a more primed back that could be better suited for what Tampa wants right now. Younger, faster, a little bit more quick cut kind of guy. So nothing against Leonard Fournette. It seems to fit more of what helps Tampa kind of get to a position where Tom can have a break once in a while. So Tom can kind of, like you said, drop back, read through progressions, and let the receivers kind of do the work. So I'll give Todd Bowles at least a 1. And Brian, I think Byron Leftwich staying there too has also been a benefactor in this as well, keeping the offense consistent. So I think that's important to kind of note. So yeah, I think Todd Bowles is safe. I know, and there's some people that want to call for his head. And that's why these guys are on this list. By the way, I know we're giving them some low scores and stuff. The reason why some of these guys are on here because I saw lists of people calling for coaches' heads out there. Whether you agree with us or not, you can let us know. It's our opinion. You know where you can put it. All right, let's move on to the next guy. We got 2 more. We got Mike Vrabel from the Tennessee Titans. They have a winning record right now, 6-3, and he has a winning record in his career of 47-27. I've equated him to being the Mike Zimmer of the NFL potentially. I hope I'm wrong.
I disagree. I don't think he's anywhere near that. I think his team loves him. I think the people around the organization love him. I think just people around the NFL love him.
No, and I'm not saying personality-wise. It's more of he keeps getting these great moments, and yet they keep falling just short. But please, Drew.
I think that's more with the talent that's there. Again, they need more there. They look at their wide receiver core.
Yeah.
They finally get somebody in Treylon Burks this year. He's a rookie. Right. He's been hurt a lot of the season.
Yes.
Again, Ryan Tannehill's done some nice things there, but he has not a lot of talent to throw it to, which you can't just have Derrick Henry do everything.
Yes.
So I think Mike Vrabel's a really good coach.
Yeah.
I think they really like him there, and I think he's one of those guys that could stick around for a very long time there until it's like, all right, we're gonna mutually part ways.
Yeah.
So I think that's at a complete zero. I don't think any hot seat going on there at all.
Okay. All right. So you're giving him a 0?
0.
I'll give him a 1 on my part. I'll at least give him a 1. And the only reason is just because, it's because I look at what happened with... Now, Zimmer was a completely different situation. He tore the locker room apart. That was his biggest issue. With Vrabel, I think there will come a point with the Titans front office that we go, we've had you for a long time. I know we're having success, but at some point we have to break through the threshold of getting back to the... I think they have to at some point here, I would say in the next 2-3 years, right? Get back to an AFC championship, winning the division, and putting themselves in a Super Bowl, or at least close enough to a Super Bowl, right? To continue to validate, to keep him on. He's a great coach. The guys love him, absolutely. But for me, it's always, well, what is the front office potentially looking at, right? And I think they're looking at Vrabel saying, we love you and what you're doing for the team, but any chance we're going to win the division and then go to a nice little playoff run, and get to an AFC championship?
It would be nice.
That would be nice, but obviously Vrabel can't predict things. He doesn't know what's going to happen, How are you supposed to know that Ryan Tannehill is going to go into a game when you have the number 1 seed against Cincinnati and throw a pick on the first game, and it's going to be, well, that's the game over from there? Who would have thought? And then, by the way, they still could have won that game. It was never over, really. So I keep it at a 1 because he has proven he can certainly win. Of anybody that came from Belichick's little tree, which he's never really was a coach, he was a player, he by far surpasses everybody. He's very much smarter than Bill O'Brien by a long shot, proven by Bill O'Brien's fact that he got Bama to 2 losses for the first time in a long time. Gotta suck. But this is another Bama shot. But nevertheless, I take it at a 1. Vrabel, I think, is going to be fine. I just think in the next few years, if they don't get to a AFC championship or something, the seat starts to get a little warmer. It starts to get a little hotter, I think, for Mike Vrabel. And last but not least, Ron Rivera. Washington splitting the difference right now, 5-5, which I did not see that happening. I don't think a lot of people did. And he has a winning record in his career in the NFL. The winningest coach on this list at 95-87. We know he took the Panthers to a Super Bowl. He was coach of the year that year. He's done a lot of great things. Keep in mind, we know the team is at the top, a complete nightmare, dogfire situation. So, Drew, Ron Rivera, 0 out of 5. How hot is that seat, you think, for him?
I don't think it's hot. I'll say a 1 because I think they have to have a little bit of heat under their seat just due to the fact of the chaos that's in the front office.
Yes.
Anything could happen here.
Yeah.
But I think Ron Rivera is a really good head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a good leader of men.
Yeah.
And that's a great spot for him. Now, if anything might change, it might be if they sell the team and get new ownership in, they might want to do their whole thing, start over. That could possibly happen. But as far as him being the coach of this team, I don't think there's any issues.
Okay. I'm going to say I think it's a 2 pushing to a 3 potentially. And again, a lot of that just has to do with what's going on at the very top. I also think, too, that there was an expectation of bringing Ron Rivera in and saying, veteran coach, this is a guy that... Because the problem right now I'm seeing with them is that their defense is still somewhat lagging behind where their offense is at. And when you're a defensive-minded head coach like Ron Rivera, there's an expectation, I think, by some that will be, well, you want to get the defense up there, right? And I don't think it's all his fault. Again, injuries are there. Guys are just not performing the way they should be. But then that also then reflects on the coach too, especially on the performance side, because why aren't they performing? What are you not doing? What do you need to do to get the best performance out of them? Do you need to change them out? Do you need to make them part-time guys? Whatever it is. So I think the heat's starting to cook up on him a little bit. I think part of that is the dysfunction that's at the top. Like, actually could be a good, like, 80 to 90% of it. The other part is, I think, though, too, he has to show Washington can deliver consistently. I will say what's helping to keep it off from being a 3 is that he's won games now with Heineke at quarterback and the limited options he has at offense when Carson Wentz was clearly not getting it done. It helps to prove your case a lot when the guy that you had before is stepping in and all of a sudden it's like, boom, like it works. It clicks. So that's good. And Antonio Gibson, thank you again for the points. Appreciate it. Really appreciate the help on the W, man. But that's going to do it for the game here, folks. Obviously, there's a lot of coaches out there that certainly could be under the hot seat as well that we did not mention. I think Mike McCarthy could be one. They could be feeling a little bit of that heat, but we'll have to wait and see. There's tons. Pete Carroll was going to go on this list, but can't anymore because the Seahawks may actually win the division. So
Wild.
we'll have to wait. I can't. That blows my mind. And we'll talk about that next here, folks, because we got the recap and then, of course, the Pick Six that's coming up next here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. And welcome back, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show, because apparently the technology just doesn't like us here, folks, for whatever reason. Our system just doesn't want to play the bumpers. The TV is working.
Not.
Of course. I'm Andrew Valentin. I'm still here with Drew Gwillem.
The suit is black, not. This TV works, not.
The TV does work not.
Oh, I need a not joke.
Yeah.
This TV does not work.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's time, my friend, to talk about the NFL week.
Foosball.
Sorry, are you ready to do this?
Always.
All right, let's do this. Let's do the recap here, ladies and gentlemen. So these were the top 10 games, personally myself, that I was able to find. By the way, I would have put the Bears on here if I could have put 11, but we already talk about them anyways as it is at the beginning. So, yeah. All right, don't yell at me, please. Everybody, all you guys yell at me. Why do you put the Bears on there? Because we talk about them already. All right, never mind. Drew, top 10 games. Which ones do you like? Which ones kind of surprised you? Anyone's not mentioned on here that you did like? What are your thoughts?
Minnesota Buffalo was ridiculously awesome. Ridiculously awesome. Unfortunately, it wasn't national, so I caught some on a good amount of it on Red Zone. And then when they did extra time or went into overtime. Like, so once the Fox game ended or the Bears game ended, since they ended super early.
Yeah, the Bears game ended, and next thing you know, they made the switch over. Thank God that I'm so glad they made the switch over.
So got to watch it then with the switch, which was nice to see the end of that in overtime.
That
Never should have been overtime, by the way, but that game was awesome. Would have liked to see Buffalo win.
You're telling me, man. I had money on Buffalo, so. Justin Jefferson, you're nuts, man.
Other than that, Dallas and Green Bay was an awesome game.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to watch. Did not think it was going to be close or see Green Bay win. Wish they would have lost as well.
Yeah.
But it was a really great game. It was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Washington and Philly was fun. Again, didn't go the way I thought it was. Philly got their first loss, but
I was shocked by that. I did not think that they would. I mean,
this is why Ron Rivera is not on the hot seat.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Comes out, prepares his team. They go out and get a huge win.
Absolutely.
The rest was
the undefeated team.
The rest was just kind of crap.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah, it was. I mean, some of these on here. I mean, look, Carolina getting the win over.
Yeah, don't care.
Atlanta. It wasn't a big game. It wasn't surprising, though. I will say it was surprising.
Fell asleep.
I was shocked by the Indy one. I will say. I did not think Indy was gonna. Jeff Saturday,
Yeah.
maybe who knows? Maybe I did like what somebody posted. Like the NFL should just hire a new guy every week to just play against Josh McDaniels to see if they could beat him or not. I like that, and I think if
There's
you
a
can,
game.
you get a head coaching job. I think that should be the case. So I like that idea. Yeah, the rest of it, I thought San Francisco Chargers was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah.
I thought there was gonna be more
It was a
there.
boring game.
Yeah, it was very, very kind of dull. I thought Miami and Cleveland would be a little bit better.
No.
I thought I should have known differently. Obviously, still nobody can touch that Miami offense. They're impeccable. Yeah, that Minnesota Bills game, the transition just happened. The play before the Justin Jefferson crazy catch, and then obviously that goal line stance was insane. What was it, like 5 tries they had at the goal line to get in there? And Eric Kendricks comes up with a fumble recovery in the end zone to score the touchdown. That was insane. That was absolutely insane. And it's a shame that it ended on an interception when I thought Josh Allen would have had that one, but I guess he just threw too far behind on Gabriel Davis. All right, that's going to do it for the game recap of this week. Drew, are you ready to do the pick six, my friend?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, my friend. So we've got Titans at Packers. Packers are favored by 3 in this one, despite the Titans having the better record. Overall under is at 41. Drew, who are you picking?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good question. I really don't know. Unfortunately, I think the Packers are going to win.
Really?
I do.
Okay.
I think they found a little something last week with Christian Watson breaking free for 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
They've got some things going there. The run game's working really well. The defense even played some defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
The secondary looked really, really good.
Yeah, they looked a lot better.
Even though they let up, 28 points?
Yeah.
Still, the second
Still came across with some easy picks.
right. The secondary played well.
Yeah.
And again, what if that's the problem? Tennessee runs the ball a lot.
Right.
If they can stop, but then they threw the hell out of it last week. So
Yes.
I'm talking myself in circles, and I don't have a clue. So I'm just going to say Green Bay by 3, and I'm
Okay.
going to say this one hits the over.
Okay. I'm going to go with Tennessee. I'm going to say Tennessee by 4.
I hope you're right.
I think the Green Bay this game against the Packers, little extra juice playing McCarthy. I get it. Rodgers really wants to kind of take it to him, sure. I think this is going to be a harder game, better defense. Justin Simmons, by the way, should maybe be in conversation for one of the best defensive linemen. He's incredible right now for this Tennessee defense. I honestly think that Tennessee could have an easy game. I'll say by 4. I think it hits the under. I think it may hit the under on this one, so that's where I'll go with that. All right, next we got Jets at the Patriots. Because who would have predicted that the AFC East was going to be one of the best? Who would have predicted the East was going to be the best divisions in NFL? Nobody saw that coming. Should have put a bet. New England's favored by 3. Shocker. 38.5 is the over-under. Drew, who are you picking with this one?
Oh, Jets are taking this one.
Really?
Jets are taking
Woo!
this one.
All right.
Coming off a bye, get a little rest.
Yeah.
Lost the first round to the Patriots.
Mhm.
The Jets coming off a win versus the Bills into their bye, coming in. Now they want another.
Yep.
Now they want another, and I think they're going to get it. I'm going to
Okay.
say the Jets by 6,
Okay. Wow.
and I'm going to say this one. I'll say this one hits the under.
Okay. I like that. I'm also going to go with the Jets. I'm going to go with Jets by 8.5. I'm going to give them a lot on this one. And I'm going to say it also hits the under. Sauce Man is going to absolutely schmooze over Mac Jones. I'm sure they're going to put in Bailey Zappi at some point then, in which case then Zappi will throw another one to Sauce Gardner. By the way, give some other love to the other man on the other side, Bryce Hall. He's doing an excellent job being the other cornerback in that, or DJ Reed, DJ Reed, I think, is the other cornerback in that Jets team. They're doing an excellent job covering guys. The Jets deserve a lot of props where they're at. The hope is that Zach Wilson can continue to go Please throw some touchdowns
And
to Garrett
improve.
Wilson. Yes, and improve. But throw some touchdowns to Garrett Wilson. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, okay, man, you'd really help a brother out, right? Help a brother and mother lover out, all right? So, okay. Next, we've got the Raiders at the Broncos. It's kind of a battle of the meh at this point.
Yeah.
But
Dumpster
there
dive.
were not too many games elsewhere that were very impressive. This is just kind of a very, let's see who's going to maybe be at the bottom of the barrel at this point. For the
Okay,
AFC.
Michigan is going to beat Illinois. You might as well just go to that.
I was going to say, we probably should have just shifted some.
I'll give you hell about that tomorrow.
It's on the list. It's going to be on the list. I told you it would be.
We'll see.
Oh, my God.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, my God. All right.
All right. Well, I'm going to.
All right, All right, Denver's favored by 2.5. It's already started. We're not even here on Thursday.
I know, it's great.
41.5 over under. Drew, who you taking?
I'm going to take the Broncos here because I have zero faith in the Raiders doing anything, even against a poor team like the Broncos. While their offense has been bad, their defense has not been bad. Their defense has been very good.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take Denver. I'm going to take Denver by 6.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to take the under on this too.
Okay. All right. We're in simpatico on that. I'm also taking the Broncos by 6.5, and I'm also taking the under on this. That defense is really good. Russell Wilson can still make plays. And I think the Raiders can make this. Yeah, sort of. Yeah, it depends. But I think the Raiders can still stay in this game. But if they actually want to win this, I think Darren Waller has to play. And I know
he's on IR.
Yeah, he can't. So they need somebody to really step up in that way to be that player. And Devontae tries, but they need Mac. What's his name? Mac Hollins, the other guy. They need him to have another big game or something like that. All right. Next, we've got Cowboys at Vikings. This could be the best game of the week. At least on the record, it's lined up like that. The Cowboys coming off their loss. Vikings get a nice victory. Right now, though, Dallas is favored by 1.5. The over-under's at 47.5. Drew, who you picking with this one, man?
I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Okay. Wow.
I'm going to say Cowboys by a field goal. I think it stays close. You know what? I'm going to take the Cowboys by a point.
A point?
I'm going to change that to a point.
Okay.
I think it stays close. I think the Cowboys are pissed they lost last week. I think the Vikings had a very emotional ass beating of a battle against the Bills, and I think that's going to play into it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think Cowboys win. I'm going to give them a point, and I'm going to go over.
Okay. I like that. I'm gonna take the Vikings. I'm gonna take the Vikings by 5, and I'm gonna take the over on this. I do think it can be a close game. I think though, just Vikings got some momentum going. I think Justin Jefferson. I think he's the best receiver in football.
He's ridiculous.
He's insanely good. I don't know if he'll have the same game because this is Trey. Diggs is gonna be on him, so. Micah Parsons is going to be coming off the edge, so looking tattooed.
I don't care who's on him, how many they put on him. It doesn't matter.
He's ridiculous.
He's insane. Unguardable.
Unbelievable. What's going to be crazy is that there's some people that are predicting the Cowboys will try to move up to maybe get Will Anderson Jr. from Bama. That's just unfair. That's just two of the biggest generational talents at defensive end and linebacker. That's just not fair. I'm sorry. That'd be uncool.
That'd be scary.
Yeah, that would be scary. It'd be better if he was maybe wearing some orange and blue. Who knows? We will see. We will see when the draft comes around in the coming months. But yeah, I'll take Vikings. Yeah, Vikings by 5, and I will say it hits the over. Next, we've got Bengals at Steelers. The Bengals right now are favored by 3.5. The over-under's at 41. Drew, Bengals and Steelers, who you taking on this one?
I'm going to take the Bengals. Steelers getting a nice boost, getting TJ Watt back. A big deal. Already has a sack. First game back. Dude, he's unreal.
He's just whatever. I'm here.
But Minkah Fitzpatrick is supposed to be out again this week. Yep. That hurts. I think they're going to have some trouble. They can't score on offense. While they got a win last week, they're still not good enough. Yeah. Nothing on offense is good enough right now. So I'm going to take Cincinnati by 6. You know what?
Okay.
Full touchdown.
Okay.
And I'm going to say this one hits the over.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm also going to take the Bengals. Shocker. I'm going to say by 6. And I'm going to say I think this one hits the under. I think the Steelers still have a good defense nevertheless. But they don't have, I think, enough to shut down T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst. And now we've seen Joe Mixon get himself going. So, and like you said, the Steelers offense, I still like Pickett. And I like George Pickens a lot.
Me too.
But they need Najee Harris to go. And I don't know if he's going to be. He can, I think, against his defense. But
he just got his biggest workload of the season.
Yeah.
Highest rushing output of the season.
Yep.
So we'll see.
We'll see. It's going to be tough because that front that they have, DJ Reader and Logan Wilson and all those guys, they're really good at stopping the run. That's one thing the Bengals do very well. So this will be a challenge for Najee. So, but that's where I'll sit with the Bengals at 6, and then I'll say it hits the under. And last but not least, this also could be game of the week. We will see. It's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs taking on Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Kansas City favored by 6.5. The over-under's at 50. Drew, who are you picking on this one?
I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Chiefs by a full touchdown.
Okay.
I don't know how they're going to stop them. Kadarius Toney in the mix now.
He looked good last week.
And he's a scary weapon for Mahomes to use now. He could do things scary like Tyreek Hill and be that guy with that speed element to his game.
Yeah.
So I'll take them by a full touchdown. I say this one hits the over.
I mean, you mentioned Kadarius Toney and how he's so much like Tyreek Hill. Funny enough, if you look at his comparison in the NFL draft, he was kind of getting some comparisons to none other than Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Jalen Waddle kind of takes the cake on a lot of that stuff, but Kadarius Toney gets a lot of love of being kind of that fast, speedy, small receiver. I like the Chiefs on this. I'm taking the Chiefs by 10. They're just, I think, going to obliterate the Chargers on this. Between Toney, Sky Moore's now getting a little bit into it, Valdez-Scantling. Obviously, we know they have Travis Kelce. Now they've got these other guys going at running back with McKinnon and Pacheco. They have weapons to use, and Patrick Mahomes knows how to beat the Chargers. They may have a chance to get to him, but that offensive line has been solid across the board thus far. I'll say by 10. I definitely think this can hit the over for sure. This could be best game of the week by far. And that's going to do it for the Pick 6 here, ladies and gentlemen. And that's going to do it for our show. So I hope you all have enjoyed watching this one. I hope you all are as hungry as we are.
Yeah, it's time to eat.
Because somebody was gurgling over here a little bit while he was talking, doing our game. I heard a little something go there.
Man.
So just
a little rumbly in the tumbly.
Yeah, absolutely. But Drew, thank you always as much for being here. Please let the people know.
Always fun talking sports and football.
Of course, man. Let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, ask all those wonderful questions.
They always ask you questions.
They go to our email
yeah.
and
I never get any.
Give him the questions, guys. God.
Well,
some things should not be said between us.
Well, if you'd like to watch me do this thing, you can check me out Wednesdays and Thursdays right here. And if you want to ask me these, whatever you want to call these kinds of questions, I have no idea. Check me out on Instagram at d.gwil25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem. I'd be happy. I don't know if I'd be happy to answer, but I'd probably be happy to read at least and get a.
I've told you before, we can do a cooking show, but not that cooking show, folks. I mean, that cooking show would require us to go to a website that only certain people can go to. So just leave it at that. If you guys want to find me,
enough said.
You guys are weird. Yeah. Love you guys so much,
You're
though.
Sick. You're sick. Shame.
No shame here, only love. It's only shame on me, right?
Yeah.
If you guys want to follow me, I'm at Bunker Captain on Instagram. That's where you guys can always find me. Guys, if you want to find us anymore, X-Bomb Sports on Facebook. You can always find us there as well. So make sure to go check us out there where you can find the live stream, as well as also on YouTube. It is on X-Bomb Sports on YouTube as well. Search us up and you can find it there where you guys can watch the live stream 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.-ish Central Time. And also, too, follow us on our social media at X-Bomb Sports on Twitter and on Instagram. And any questions or comments you may have, again, send us to xbsportsofficial@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys as per the usual. Real quick for the podcast stuff, Blow the Whistle just went today. We'll be going next Monday, I believe, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. Be on the lookout for that. You guys can also check us out on the TV side when we do come back. That'll be to be determined. Make sure to hear our boy Brandon Januska at 94.3 WMKR doing his thing down south if you're going down towards Taylorville. We're going to try and get him on the Blow the Whistle 2-year anniversary show, so be on the lookout for that. Also, check out his podcast with Baseball Banter with Brandon on Spotify. And while you're on Spotify, check out Monday Motivation with Hannah B. Wonderful podcast. While you're trying to listen to Hannah B, you can also hear her at 102.3 XLC doing the afternoon drive. She's also at 96.7 The Star doing her morning show with the legendary Eddie Volkman. You guys can also then check out an amazing website known as theparlay.com. It's where our guys Tony Lopez and former professional bull and professional boxer Kendall Gill is doing his thing, talking about combat sports. They are talking about boxing, MMA, all the good stuff that you're looking for, ladies and gentlemen. Mostly boxing, in the hopes that maybe one day a certain celebrity Vine star will eventually box.
Waste of space.
Yeah, something like that. Fighting 50-year-old MMA fighters will eventually fight a real boxer. And also, too, guys, if you want any of your fantasy football needs, tips and tricks, things like that, go to the Fake Football Guys on YouTube. Just search them up. You can find them on YouTube. That's Fake Football Guys, again, for any of your fantasy football needs. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. We're going to get out of here, go get something to eat. Drew's going to sleep. I'm going to go to work. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as always, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.
Got to do that other